Thank you for watching WISD TV and welcome to another GWAMA Partner Spotlight. My name is Dale Caffey. I'm pleased to be at Caterpillar today with the facility manager, John Vizner. Caterpillar is a wonderful sponsor and partner of the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy. And really, John, for good reason, because you took us on a tour today. We're going to take a look at some footage momentarily, but we have students that are going to be looking for jobs similar to what I saw today on this tour. Talk about Caterpillar and your need for good young workers.
All right, very good. So we hire a lot of welders and machinists, which is the primary focus of the Manufacturing Academy. We've ramped up over the last 4 years from about 50 employees to almost 300. We continue to see that growth out here in the future. So we're definitely excited about the Manufacturing Academy and bringing a lot of good young talent, especially with the welders and machining program coming on board next year.
Now, if anybody's ever been around construction projects, they've seen Caterpillar machines and Caterpillar equipment doing the work. Caterpillar is a huge worldwide company that makes a lot of stuff. Talk about some of the many things they make.
So Caterpillar is primarily in construction and mining. So everything from little backhoes and mini excavators all the way up to your large off-highway trucks that are moving hundreds of thousands of pounds of dirt at a time. So we specialize here in mainly excavator product. We put a lot of attachments for the excavator machines, buckets, hydraulic hammers, couplers, that really just support the main product lines of Caterpillar.
We got a chance to look at the bucket making process. It starts with raw materials, starts with a flat piece of metal that's cut, precision cut, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, a bucket is put together at the end of the assembly line. Let's start at the beginning with that flat piece of metal. What's happening?
All right, so we do a lot of plasma cutting as well as oxy-fuel cutting to cut shapes out that we need for the bucket. Those parts go into a secondary operation where we bevel parts, we have a press to bend parts. A lot of our employees that start off with welding will be tacking parts together, doing some initial operations to get learning the processes. We'll start cross-training people to learn how to run CNC machines. We have some pretty basic ones that are easy to learn on. From there, it goes to the process, more complicated machining, a lot of robotic welding. And then before you know it, we have a bucket coming out the other end. We do the final assembly and paint, and it's ready for our customers.
Now, you mentioned the young welder coming straight out, does a lot of the tack welding, and those are beginning level jobs, but a great opportunity to get the foot in the door here. Talk about the fact that those young people around 18 years of age who are going right now to the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy have a chance to work at places like Caterpillar.
Right, so even welding and machining require experience to be good. So really the Manufacturing Academy gives those students really a leg up on other students because they are getting those skill sets early on, which really adds to their experience. So coming in the door here at Caterpillar, we have positions that are really, I say minimal skill sets needed, but they need some experience, and this Manufacturing Academy will give them that experience that we need. And
you talked about that, the fact that the best way to learn something is by doing it.
Absolutely. So that's what the Manufacturing Academy brings, is they actually let kids weld, and then next year we'll be introducing the machining programs. So they will be learning how to operate machines and how to be a machinist.
And let's talk about that amazing robot welder. Anybody can operate a machine or a computer, but to really know what that welder is doing is so important.
Just like any manufacturing process, you need to understand it. So a robot welder or even a machining center, you need to do more than just push buttons. In order to keep that running efficiently, you have to be able to know when to change consumables, know how to set your tooling up so that it produces a good part at the end of the day.
Let's talk a little bit about the bucket making process, because it starts with tacking it and then it eventually gets to that robot welder. And as we're looking at that robot welder, just talk about that amazing piece of machinery.
All right, so about 80% of our welding is done robotically. So it really cuts down a lot on the man hours required for a bucket. So it makes us very efficient and competitive with even low-cost countries. So that's why we're here in Waco today, is because we can do a lot of technology to improve our processes. So that robot really adds a lot to what we can do here in the United States and be very cost-effective. But it does require some higher skill sets to operate those robots.
Right. And the robot doesn't do it all, though. It does that long seam, but then it goes to a finishing place where a young welder or an old welder or whoever puts that finished product on.
Yeah, so 20% of our welding is still done by hand. So the robot can't reach every place, and we have parts that have to go on after robotic welding. So we still have a lot of welding to do. So those guys that learn how to weld still have to be able to do that, and then touch up what the robot can't get to, and then add some pieces there at the end.
You make the bucket here that goes on to that digging machine. That's a simple way to put it. But talk about the demand you have for buckets of varying sizes.
So we produce a pretty wide range of buckets, over 200 different part numbers here in this facility. Right now we're producing about 20 a day, and that's only about half of the demand. So we're buying buckets from other factories within Caterpillar as well, just trying to keep up with that heavy demand we're seeing for buckets.
That's amazing. Talk about Caterpillar's history in Waco.
Right, so we came down in Waco with our division about 2005. We introduced the hex buckets, which we just saw the operations on. We added the coupler that we didn't really look at today, but it's another very similar product to the bucket when it comes to processes. That was added in 2008. And then 2010, we built the building that we're in right now to introduce the hydraulic hammer. So we've really grown a lot. Again, really almost 500% in the last 4 years. And we see that growth here to really continue for the next year or two.
Right, and you have some huge facilities here, and you mentioned also, we saw the welding side of it, then we came over to look at the precision metal manufacturing side. That's where we're at right now. Talk about what is made in this facility.
So this facility, we build the hydraulic hammers. So anything from a small backhoe loader hammer all the way up to something that's about 8 foot tall that's going to be out there demolishing bridges and highways. So that's a lot more precision machining, so it takes a really higher skill set to operate the machines in this building. That's why we're really excited about the new program next year, the precision metal, because it's going to really help us fill the gap. So that's one of the biggest gaps in manufacturing, not just here, but across the country, is precision metal and machinists.
Yeah, and I want to talk about, obviously, the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy. Caterpillar, for a good reason, is a partner. And I know that you occasionally come out there. In fact, I've seen you out there a couple of times at least, and I'm sure you make regular visits. Are you liking what you're seeing from GWAMA?
Absolutely. For young kids in their teens, they're a very mature group, and I really like what the Manufacturing Academy is doing, not just for their skills, but also the development of the person. So I think we're coming a long ways with getting a good worker that's going to come out of that Manufacturing Academy. And
Caterpillar is one of these companies. It's very, as you think about it, you have the jackhammer pieces that you're making here to tear down, let's say, old bridges or old parts, and then you have the bucket that you're making across the way that basically would pick up the torn up pieces of materials. Yes. And also excavating. Let's talk about strip mining, or let's talk about all sorts of digging. So talk about some of the places that Caterpillar sends buckets to all over the world.
So for buckets, we primarily provide North American demand. We have other facilities around the world that provide buckets to other parts of the world. Hammers and couplers, we're the exclusive source worldwide. So we ship our product to hundreds of countries all around the world. Just provide those needed items for hammering and for quick couplers on machines.
Very good. You also have a huge facility just off of Bagby that warehouses all sorts of things, I understand. I mean, that's a huge building. For people who know what you do here, tell them what that building's all about.
So across the street from us, there's about 750,000 square feet, and that is all the service parts to service all the different CAT equipment just in the south central United States. So we have several of those parts distribution centers around North America. It's really just servicing our equipment so that when our customers need something, it's very readily available.
Very good. Anything else that you want to add about Caterpillar, the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy, that I haven't asked you about?
Just really encouraging the kids to think about manufacturing. Not everybody is college bound. I do encourage people to look at TSTC and other opportunities to advance their understanding of welding and machining. But that's definitely the huge opportunities in Waco, in Texas, for that matter, for those skill sets. And right now we've got a good, strong foothold, and I think we're going to grow from here.
And you mentioned the growth of this company in Waco, Texas over the past 5 or 6 years has been amazing. Talk about the job openings that you might have on a regular basis as you try to get people in the door.
So welders and machinists are definitely the ones that we hire continuously. We start new employees every 2 weeks, and we're constantly looking for some good candidates that can weld and machine.
Okay, you heard it out there. You students at the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy, Caterpillar is looking for you, so keep doing well in your school. John Vizner, thank you so much for the great tour today. This is an amazing facility. I'm very much impressed with what you do here, And every employee we ran in today, how professional they are, made sure we had our earplugs in, they're safety conscious. I mean, you're doing a great job here with your employees. Talk about the wonderful staff you have here.
We've really been very fortunate as our growth. We found a lot of good employees, and we're really focused on things like safety, developing a great culture. We want people to be happy at work. They spend a lot of their life here on the job, and so we put a lot of effort into the culture and the initiatives we do to really engage our employees.
And I can tell that none of them were camera shy today, because every time that Jesse, our cameraman, would come up there, they'd say, "Here, come look what I'm doing." They're proud of their work.
Absolutely.
Very good. John, thank you again, and thank you for joining us for another Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy Partner Spotlight on WISD TV.